Hello,
Hi,
Charles.
Aaron. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Sorry for
Hi
my
there.
delay there. I only saw like Annette UK, and I was like, I do not see them.
Great to see you. And
Likewise,
hello to you and to your listeners. Yeah,
thank you. Uh, so before we start, what I want to do is we're about to do a sync up. This is something that we do to bring all of our energies together and just realign ourselves, especially when we've come in from a crazy day.
fantastic.
And I've had a crazy day because, as I was just telling everyone, I was just in LA last night at 12:55 a.m. and flew down to Colombia. So I was up awake on the plane because I still, no matter what I've done, have a hard time sleeping on planes. And then transferred from Panama down to Colombia. So I'm in this like energetic state of like loopy. So forgive me if we we get a little off the rails today. Uh, so syncing up everyone is super simple. And again, if you're just tuning in, we're here with Healing with Coherence. We're going to be talking. They're one of our partners. We collaborate with them, and we're diving into deep about the who, what, where, when, and why. Because it's one thing to always just advertise a product or say, "Hey, this is something we really like." We're more interested in educating everyone about the who, what, where, when, and why of these products, why they're so good, why they're so important, and letting you actually meet the people who've created them or assisted in creating them so you can understand on a much more personal level why they do what they do. And my name is Aaron. And with that, let's sync up. So, everyone, again, if you're driving, please do not do this while you're driving. Wait and watch this after. Take your right hand, stick it underneath your left armpit. Your left hand's going to go on your right shoulder. You're going to pull your right shoulder over to the left. And if you're sitting, you can cross your legs left over right. Or if you're standing, do the same. And you're going to twist your head to and look to the right. And we're going to take 6 breaths together. You can either do it in through your nose and let it go out your mouth, or you can do it through your mouth. If your nose is a little stuffed up, just do it through your mouth. I personally love nasal breathing, so I'm going to do them all through my nose, but we'll do them together. So here we go. Breath number 1, and let it go. Breath number 2. Breath 3. Oh, I already feel everything getting so quiet. Number 4. Breath number 5. And breath number 6. And just come back to where you are. We typically, when we're together, we make eye contact with each other to reestablish that connection. So we'll do that over this beautiful device. So welcome. Introduce yourself to everybody, and I'm going to let you give a little bit of a spiel about where you come from, and then I'm going to start picking into questions with you. Okay?
Fantastic. Hi, everyone. So I'm Charles Mitchley. I'm with Healing and with Coherence and with Comra Therapy. Um, I've been with them for about 15 years now, so it's a great path with a heart for me. It's been quite a journey. I started off life as a lawyer in London, UK, and transitioned into business, then moved into publishing. And I started publishing books on, I suppose, human relationships. And our focus has been always to find ways to help people to help themselves. And then I met the founder of Radiant Life Technologies, which are the owners of Comra Therapy. And we did some work for many years together on holistic self-sufficiency. And yeah, it's been a journey that has evolved since then. And it's been a great journey.
What? So you opened up a doorway there to a lot of different things. So I guess what made you fully, so you were a lawyer before,
A long
and
time ago, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
what kind of law did you practice?
It was general law.
Okay. And was there some particular incident that happened that, kind of started to shift you out as you moved into looking at healing and health?
I think it was just a general progression. It was a time where things were expanding a lot, and then after a while, I decided I'd sell up and then travel, and I started traveling and came to South Africa, where I'm based at the moment. And then I started to search around for deeper things, deeper meaning, finding something that had meaning in my life. And I started meditating, and then I met the founder of Comra Therapy, and I found a lot of answers too. And what I found was greater self-fulfillment, and both from a business point of view and a personal point of view as well. So it's been sort of a period of immense growth, and yeah, just great fun too.
Okay, so just so everyone has a little context, Comra Therapy is a series of awesome devices, philosophy, and courses that people can do to reboot their bodies, reboot their systems,
Absolutely,
reconnect. So
absolutely.
if you want to give a little more context for that, and then I want to understand like how you guys initially met, and then what led to that collaboration unfolding.
Okay, so one of the cornerstones of Comra Therapy is coherence, and that's where healing with coherence comes in. And coherence is something that's not only about sort of physical healing, but it's about a whole approach to life. So when your mind, when your spirit, when all of your actions are in sync, then you are moving in a sort of more graceful way. And you're expending less energy, and your body is in tune with your, I suppose, your inner being,
Mm-hmm.
because all your actions reflect what is happening in your inner self. And so I suppose part of the aspect is relationships courses, because all of life is about relationships at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's the bigger picture of relationships and relationships building. And then there's the Comrade devices, which again are more about bringing about coherence in the body and enabling a faster and better and true type of healing, really, at the end of the day.
So those are actual courses people can work on.
Yes,
We just mentioned, and how does that work? How do those courses work? Is it like a self-led, structured with someone just showing up? Are they led by an instructor at some point as well?
yes, there are physical courses. We have some online courses as well, and they're led by an instructor who is Elizabeth, who is the co-CEO of Comra Therapy. So we have an aspect of courses, we have an aspect of the sort of physical healing as well. So they all tie in together.
Yeah, yeah, which is key, because if you are working on yourself from a even an energetic perspective, or doing things to shift belief systems, or you still have to connect it into the body. Otherwise, you're leaving out a huge chunk of it.
Absolutely. And that's where so much healing is often about energy. And often when we're involved with negative behaviors, with negative thought patterns, the amount of energy that actually consumes is enormous. And so when we're looking at the causes of illness, then there can be physical causes, but often that is that mental drain, whether it's stress, whether it's anxiety, whether it's negative thought patterns, that just put an extra drain. So if we're looking at healing at a cellular level, then and if you compare the cells as having a level of battery energy, suddenly you can see the level of the battery going down and down and down until the cells are not really able to function properly anymore.
Hmm.
And that is often an energy deficit is often the root cause behind so many illnesses, and that energy deficit can be sparked a lot of the way by emotional imbalance, by anxiety, and by stress, and by negative thought patterns too. So
Okay.
that's a big factor.
And how does that? So because I'm holding one of the devices right here, the
Yes.
Comra Palm, which is
Yeah.
awesome because I've gotten to I'm actually experimenting with right now. I'm going through one of the protocols to see the effects and how it works, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty cool because even in a few days, uh, I was working on just like my lower, like right in between my hips and
Mhm.
and those a change in blood flow almost right away, like a sense of flow and openness just from using a few sessions of it,
Yes.
like putting on like 5 hertz for a moment or so. So the combination of because what I want to impart to everybody too, because you guys do a lot, I want to give a little bit of a framework for I think how what you're doing if you say you did some of the coursework in Healing with Coherence, then how that can be combined with the devices, or if they weren't doing a course with you, how these devices are. Well, I'm finding out pretty freaking incredible because it's my first time getting to use it actually. Because
Yeah.
Gary and our team have used these before. That's why we started a partnership in the first place. They loved it. They resonated deeply with it, and so here we are. But yeah, if you can kind of give some context to those two things.
Sure. So yeah, it's not necessary to do the courses, just to emphasize that. And most of our customers are home users and throughout the world, and they don't do the courses, and they get very good results. And that's how the basis of Comra Therapy works, because it's there to help people to achieve holistic self-sufficiency and to use it in their homes. And it works on a cellular level. It gives energy to the body. It gives energy to the cells. And the body has an amazing healing ability. So it can heal on its own, but often it needs that extra push of energy. So
Mm.
that extra push of energy comes through the combined radiances in the Comra Therapy devices, and that is very powerful. And it stimulates the body, and it stimulates the cells, and it gives the cells extra energy to be able to get these fantastic results.
It's so cool. And when you mean by different resonances, can you explain that a little bit? Because here, let me. Oh, I think the battery is. Yeah. Dang it. I want to show because if you look at the bottom of the device, so this is a little palm-sized device, and it has a little timer section. You can change the hertz of it,
Yeah,
and also on the back, this is the part that you put on your body. There's different laser lights here.
yeah. So what we got there is the laser light itself in the middle, and that is a specific frequency of laser. You've got those LED lights around it, which have a regenerative message, as well. They combine with the laser, and buried in the casing in between the LED lights
Oh, there we go.
is the magnetic. Yeah, are the magnets. So you've got a magnetic field as well. So what we've got there is a combination of low-level laser, LED lights, and magnetic field, and that has a very powerful effect on the cells and the energy that they need to heal. Yeah, you can see the lights there flashing away.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that is quite a sort of unique combination, and it's also unique in the sense that they are coherent. So that's another aspect of coherence, in the sense that the laser, LED lights, and the magnetic field are working together to provide an impulse. And what we find is it's like a vortex that goes into the body and stimulates the healing abilities there.
So the pattern. So the lights are actually because I mean I didn't obviously want to stare at the lights. You're not supposed to look at the lasers.
Yeah.
Uh, but they're moving in a resonance pattern and a frequency. All of them are
Yes.
tuned. And so when you choose, because the device is, I mean, it's incredible with all the aspects that you can go on and 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 connect into. different areas of your body, but you can change the frequency, you can change the intensity or the duration of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you,
So yes, you can,
no, go ahead, go
yeah,
ahead.
change the frequency, and the frequency basically has different effects, but it also has different depths of penetration. So 5 hertz is the lowest frequency, but the deepest penetrating. So we use that for like treating the organs. 50 hertz is more sort of muscular, sort of 3 to 4 centimeters. And then we have the 1000 hertz, which is skin and just below the surface of the skin. Then we have variable, which rapidly moves between all of the three other ones. And so that can be used for, infections, bone breaks, and things like that. So,
So you,
yeah,
from
there's a lot of scope.
from bone breaks to kidneys to, because you can even put it on your head. You can deal with like head
Yes,
issues.
absolutely.
Okay.
Head issues, anything, lots of issues to do with the heads, anything from neurological problems. You have people with traumatic brain injuries. They've done a lot of research on traumatic brain injuries and the ability of laser light to regenerate cells. Similarly, from stroke damage as well. So a lot of people have damage through strokes, and this helps to regenerate the cells and to repair the cells as well.
Oh, wow. So do you guys have, there's like actual case studies around this, the use of it?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. There are a
And,
lot of
and
case studies, and on the websites there's enormous lot of case studies of just examples of the ways it's been used. And low-level laser itself, on which this is based, has been around since the 1960s. So there's about sort of 60 years of experimental research and just basic research that's been done on the ability of low-level lasers to heal and to improve health.
well, okay. So the laser part's been around for quite a while, but what led to the actual formation of making these into a device and combining these aspects?
So it was something that just evolved, and um, really, I think it was even sort of from the 1980s. A lot of the research was originally done in Russia in terms of the Russian experience, and they started combining radiances, and they found that, for example, that in the presence of a weak magnetic field, the effect of a laser light was improved by up to 100%. And so they started combine some degree of LED lights as well. And we sort of developed that further simply by adding a series of coherent LED lights, and also by adding the ultrasound and making the whole thing much more coherent as well. So it had a long combination of radiances, has a long history, but we developed it to the next level so that it is more effective and more efficient.
Did they, when you guys built it, was it started off just being used on injuries itself, or was there a performance aspect for even like athletes to perform better?
I think the initial thing was in terms of pain and injuries,
Okay.
as that's where a lot of demand is. People are in pain the whole time, and for athletes to perform better, that's a fantastic thing. As well. And more athletes are finding out about it and are appreciating the performance and the actual the benefits that go beyond pain and quick recovery. For example, in if you have a muscle tear as an athlete, then it's often you find that you do not regain the full range of movement. Whereas you find, and that's often because of scar
Yeah.
tissue. Whereas using the laser, people find that they are able to gain almost exactly 100% of their function again and range of movement. So that's one aspect that is often overlooked when it comes to that. But it's really pain that motivates so many people, and that there are so many people with enormous amount of pain here around. And just the other day, I had someone getting in touch with me, and he said he'd had some tooth operations a couple of years back, and then suddenly he was developing these shooting pains, and he tried a whole lot of things, and then suddenly it got a lot worse, and he started using it. And the day he spoke to me, it was a Friday, and he was in extreme agony. He didn't know what to do. He was taking morphine.
Wow.
He started about sort of 5:30 in the afternoon using the Comrade device. He wrote to me the next day. He left a voice message and said by 4:30 in the morning, then his pain had stopped. So he was
Wow.
able to be pain free after that extreme amount of pain. So yeah, it just shows you what can be done. And that is because of nerve regeneration. As, again, a lot of pain is caused through a combination of nerve damage and also scar tissue. And so often it happens with back operations too. So you've got something, an operation that's happened and it hasn't been successful. There's scar tissue that's built up as a result of the operation, and there's nerve damage as well. And that's a combination of nerve damage and scar tissue that leads to a lot of ongoing pain.
And so when you apply the device, it's basically rewiring that
Yeah.
and breaking up, helping the body. So what's the actual thing that's the body's doing? Because I've seen like shockwave therapy, and I just experienced this device when we were in LA, called Softwave, that shoots essentially an electric spark through water on the end of a device, and it creates like a frequency and a shock, which when you do that stimulates the body then to produce stem cells, because it's kind of like shaking up the area and getting things moving. What is is the Comra device is producing a stem cell reaction as well with it, or is it just like, what is the actual thing that's being deployed there?
There is a stem cell reaction, certainly, but it's also just it's actually just regenerating cells, and therefore you can regenerate tissue. So whether it's nerve tissue, whether it's muscle tissue, in Russia they've even done experiments to show that over a period of time you can even regenerate cartilage.
Wow.
That's quite slow. That is quite slow, though. But in a sort of shorter time frame, then you can regenerate nerve, and you can also start to break down the scar tissue that's often responsible for a lot of pain as well. Initially, though, you're softening the scar tissue because, again, breaking down scar tissue does take time. But for the most immediate results, then it's being softened to such an extent that it's not causing that pain.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing, because I mean, I see the application of this with actually getting out and still moving, like doing the fascial maneuvers
Yeah,
and techniques like that to continually release the body to yourself get flow going, and then adding that into in a therapeutic way, or even for recovery in a fun way. To it seems like it would accelerate the whole process
yeah.
of whatever you're
Um,
working on. It seems like it could have the potential, because I mean, I'm sure, because everybody's different. People have different inputs coming in, different stressors, different diets they're all eating. So maybe it's difficult to measure the exact thing, but it seems like, based on, because we're all frequency, we're all resonating at
Absolutely.
frequencies, and you
Absolutely.
can combine something like that with opening up, like we did in the beginning of the call, where we kind of harmonized a little bit. It seems like
Yeah,
that would have the greatest potential to kick you into high gear.
absolutely. So they work very well together, the fascia maneuvers and the Comra therapy, because again, you're giving energy. With the fascia maneuvers, you're doing so much in terms of restructuring the body, allowing the signals, allowing the small blood vessels to process signals and move throughout the body. And with Comra, you're giving extra energy, so that can just facilitate the process as well. So it's a wonderful combination and work very well together.
What's one of your favorite ways you've used it?
What?
The
The,
device, the device
the
itself.
Comra device.
Because there's a few
I
different
think,
devices, by the way, folks. So just what we're referencing, we're talking about these little beautiful devices. This
that
is a palm-sized one. There's a larger one, and then a wand as well.
yes. So that's the larger. This is the larger size one. So this is what
Hold it up
we
higher.
call the Comra Pro.
Get it? Yep. A little higher. Yeah. Perfect. There we go.
So that's the Comra Pro. And then again, you set the same arrangement. So you've got the laser light in the center there. You've got the ultrasound underneath those green dots. You've got the LED lights, and you've got the magnets in between the casing as well. So that's what we call the Pro. Um, and we have different frequencies, but that's more technical, but or different wavelengths. But yeah, so we've got essentially got the Palm and we've got the Pro.
And this is the Palm, folks, that I have here and experimenting with, which is great to travel with, actually.
Yeah, very handy.
Very
So
cool.
yeah,
So now, have you used this in any specific things in your own self? Injuries that you've recovered from quicker?
um, certainly injuries. I use it as a preventative and just as a sort of health building thing. So often I
Oh,
would sort of sit up in bed with a cup of tea in the morning, and I'll give myself a treatment. So I will often just treat my liver, my kidneys, all my organs, treat various points in my brain, treating the blood. And that just helps give my body a tune up and keeps me young and active. So I find that, yeah, the blood is another interesting thing because I think just going sort of stepping back a little bit um, is that the Russians did sort of two things. They firstly, as I mentioned, started to combine the reagents in the initial stages, which we improved upon and developed further. But they also developed systemic treatments. So in the West, most people are used to low-level lasers. You go to a physio and you have a sore knee and you put a laser on it, or you have a sore back and you put a laser on it. So it's very localized treatments. What they did in Russia was they developed a whole range of systemic treatments so that you're treating the central nervous system, you're treating the endocrine system, you're treating the lymphatic system, you're treating the organs, and you're treating the blood. So by treating a wide range of that, I mean, essentially all of the body's functions, you're able to deal with a whole lot of diseases and functions because you're able to support the body in healing in a much broader way than simply locally. And one of the very powerful aspects that the Russians developed way back then was to treat the blood. And so at one stage, even in Europe, they had various clinics where you could go and you could, they would have a laser probe that be inserted via fibers into your veins, and you would get laser light that was shone into your veins, and that would create enormous amount of benefit. After a while, they realized you don't have to be so invasive. And so we have a sort of a range of treatments whereby you're putting the laser light directly over the exposed artery points, like your carotid artery or your
I'm not sure
artery
why
on
that keeps
the,
happening, by the way. I don't know if you
yeah,
keep seeing that pop up. I have
yes, I'm
no idea why.
not
It seems
sure.
like it happens every time I kind of nod, like, oh wow, that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
but
So
by putting the device directly on the affected area.
yes, and by treating the blood too. So again, as part of the sort of enormous the sort of systemic treatments, you might treat if you've got liver disease, for example, you might treat your liver and various points that are allied with the liver, and you'd also be treating the blood too. So you'd be putting it on the exposed artery point, and by treating the blood, you're having an enormous lot of effects on the hemoglobin, and you're increasing the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. And one of the things, especially if you're chronically ill or got a problem, is that often the red blood cells do not become pliable anymore, and so they do not get into the smaller capillaries. And again, by treating the blood, the red blood cells become pliable and they start to get into the small capillaries, and then so they can do their healing work at a much better level than without that. So there's a lot
Again,
of scope.
yeah, no, it's amazing. But again, you said something interesting. It's about flow. It comes back to this equation of
Absolutely,
flow. Flow. If there's
absolutely.
not flow, which comes back to also frequency,
Yeah,
because frequency creates flow. And if you don't have the flow, things don't work.
Yeah.
And when you get dammed up, I mean, from an emotional perspective, physical perspective, seems to have the same kind of effects where it dysregulates everything and everything gets clunky.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
is there a tremendous output difference just for everyone else's knowledge out there? I know what the breakdowns of each machine is, but I want to like give people a little scope of it between the little one I have and the full size wand and stuff. What is the major differences, or what would you suggest in terms of therapeutic? Because they both do the same as far as therapy. They're delivering the same benefits.
Exactly. They're delivering the same benefits. The longer one, what we call the Pro, has ultrasound. So the Palm doesn't have ultrasound. We added the ultrasound to the Pro, and that speeds things up and makes it faster and more powerful.
Okay.
For a lot of conditions, you don't need that. It's just a question of what you're wanting to treat. Especially, what I often say to people, if you've got a lot of nerve damage, then it's a good idea to have the Pro, because you really need that extra ultrasound to be able to help with the nerve regeneration. But often it very much depends on your finances. There's quite a difference in pricing. But the palm is fine. You might need to treat for a little bit longer, but that's not going to be too much of a problem for you. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're
Well,
both very good.
I think honestly, if you're going to go treat something, you've got some severe stuff going on, the investment you make in something like a device like this is way far less than you'll end up putting in, staying in the levels of pain and dysregulation that you're in.
Absolutely.
And because these devices are potent, I mean, I don't even have anything major going on. And from the first session, I did like a two minute, like right on my bladder, and it just had it at 5 hertz, and I felt a shift, a flow.
Yeah,
And even just touching different parts of my body, I mean, maybe my body's just super sensitive, but you feel it shifts like pretty quickly. And I also found it
absolutely.
extraordinarily relaxing
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, it does that. It relaxes you. And then a number of clients, for example, we're talking about bladder cystitis, um, you have a number of clients who say, well, I just sort of stick it on my bladder with cystitis, and within 5 minutes, then the pain is gone. So, um, yeah, it's very good for that.
What? So how did you, going back for a second, because it just popped back in my mind because I meant to ask you, go back and ask you this question earlier. How did you connect with the team itself?
So I knew the team to begin with, and I was working with Theon Mares, who was the founder of Comra Therapy, and working together with him on sort of self-help books and helping people to help themselves. And then he pulled together the team that was responsible for the creation of the Comrade devices, with including doctors and scientists. And he started work on that. And as soon as that was developed, then being in South Africa, I decided that, I would be very happy to take on the role of the South African agent and
Yeah.
to promote Comra here in South Africa. So that's basically how it started. But again, it's just sort of going back to the idea of helping people to the sort of philosophy of helping people to help themselves
Yeah.
and encouraging holistic self, what we call holistic self-sufficiency. So again, I think that's very much the message of you at Human Garage, is that you want to empower people so that they can take their power back, and to heal themselves through the fascia exercises.
100%. Because if someone, I mean, in the end, we all have to walk the pathway ourselves. We all have to do it.
Yeah.
There's no if, ands, or but. We are the ones who are going to perform better. If you want to use the word heal better. I have a tricky thing with the word, like getting stuck on healing, healing, healing. It seems like sometimes people start chasing this idea of healing too
Yeah.
much, and they forget to try to just perform better.
Yes.
Like, because it's a different mindset. Someone pursuing healing versus someone who's hey, I just want to try to maybe perform a little bit better, or do this activity a little bit better, it seems like they have less maybe blockages, you know, they're just more open. So
Absolutely.
it seems like it can accelerate the process. But, you know, in the end, the person has to walk the pathway themselves. And things like the fascial maneuvers, the healing coherence devices, the Comra devices are a powerful assist to me in the adventure, and they're amazing because they're a powerful assist. But they're still not, like, if the person doesn't really still make their own shifts, cool. You're doing some cool twisty moves, but you're not still walking the full pathway. Or you're sticking a
Yeah.
device on and you're getting some benefit from it, but you're not taking it where you could take it.
Yeah. Very much. Often I find that that is to do also with focusing on the goal rather than the journey. So it's like, if you're focused, if you've got your head on, I want to find happiness, and you look after this quick fix, and you look after this quick fix, and you look after this quick
Mhm.
fix, because you're seeking happiness rather than meaning in your journey, then you exhaust yourself. And that is one of the things that also leads to mitochondrial dysfunction. So that's eventual sort of happiness. It's how emotions can translate, or misdirected emotions can translate into physical illness, because again, you're exhausting yourself, and then you are ending up by sort of having a sort of mitochondrial dysfunction because you haven't got the energy to support that. So that's
Yeah.
again, taking the steps yourself, but enjoying the journey rather than just being focused on the outcome at the end of the day.
Yeah. Would you say that's kind of like maybe your overall philosophy for your life is just, hey, it's an exploration? Like, what would you say that how do you look at the world? Like, what's your lens?
Yeah, I think there's so many different ways, but it's learning to appreciate the journey rather than being focused on the outcome, and just sort of taking time to enjoy the steps and to give oneself credit. I think at the end, a lot of people are very hard on themselves, and they're willing to give credit to other people, but they don't like to give credit to themselves. But I think it's learning to, I suppose, it's part of the big picture of learning to love yourself and to honor yourself, to honor your journey, as well as just to sort of get results at the end of the day. So that's how I like to look at life and appreciate the little things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't know. It's not for myself. Oh, just let's answer this question while it's here. And then, where can the device be purchased at?
So online, comra-therapy.com. And so we have a full website and a web shop as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and we do have a little
comra-therapy.com.
human garage code you can use for a little 12%, I believe.
Yeah,
I have both the pro and the palm. I'm just, before I ask this question, just looking back at this, make sure, because sometimes people have some really cool stuff. I don't want to miss it here. I have both the pro and the palm. Oh, the pro is faster. The palm, thanks to Inspirited Moves, that's a good description. The palm works good as well, but the process is slower. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Cool.
so
Yeah,
it's
just a little bit. It
comrade.
just works a little bit slower.
I think just maybe we can just put a spelling in there, because yeah, someone's put comradetherapy.com. So it's COMRA-therapy.com.
And by the way, folks, we're going to be reposting this live, and all the pertinent links and the correctly spelled things will be there for you to hop on.
That's great. Yeah, and in terms of the small little things, appreciating
Yeah.
those, when I was doing the fascia exercises earlier on, I found, especially when I was doing some of the face exercises, and I don't know whether it was pulling the tongue, where you sort of you
Ah,
twist the tongue,
yeah.
but as a result, I didn't realize that my sense of smell. I was never aware that I was sort of lacking in the sense of smell, but suddenly, after a few days, then I noticed that I had a sense of smell that I'd never experienced before, and I was just had such a vibrant ability to smell things. And yeah, it's maybe a small thing, but it makes a big difference to one's life.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Well, you freed up, because when you pull the tongue, and the
Mm,
tongue is connected down to every other part of the system,
yeah,
and when you stretch out, loosen it up, it makes everything else open up. So it makes sense that your nose pops back on. It was like, hey, there's a whole world of odoriferous delights are everywhere. I love
Yeah,
the idea though of taking moments and just appreciating stuff, because I notice this a lot in because everything's relationships, right?
absolutely.
And this is also I feel like a device like the Comra devices can be helpful in just grounding someone back into this reality as well. But even in relationships or with people, it's kind of funny because we first meet them, right? And we're so pumped up. We're like, yeah, whoa. And like every little thing that they do is so interesting and exciting and vibrant. And like we hang on even like sometimes each little word that they say. And then like 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, a year, 2 years down the road, all of a sudden we're like, oh, man, they're just not very interesting anymore. They're just kind of like, they're not as exciting anymore. And it's like, wait a second, they're still saying the same things. They're like, they're still that voice that you found so interesting, because it's like anything. When we walk down the road, we're so used to maybe seeing, like I in Colombia, I live right on the beach. And so I look out and I have this epic view of the ocean. But it's kind of funny because I catch myself just being like, oh, okay, whatever, it's the ocean. You know, like
Yes, yeah, yeah,
in and not just even just for a moment kind of relishing in the gratitude of the fact that I get to experience seeing something so magnificent, or getting to hear someone speak to me, like the
yeah,
sound of their voice and things like that. And
yeah.
and I feel like, and I don't know, have you noticed it for yourself? Do you notice the more that you move or use the device itself, do you find yourself getting more present, connected?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just talking about that. I was just reading the other day. I kept it here as well on a quote I saw. There's a very interesting man called Norman Doidge who um, developed the theory of neuroplasticity, and he's a
Hmm.
psychiatrist. And this is this struck jumped up to me the other day as well. He says, just as the hand held before the eye can hide the tallest mountain, so the routine of everyday life can keep us from seeing the vast radiance and the secret wonders that fill the world. So that's exactly what you were saying about the beach there, and not really appreciating it. But going back to Comra, that is very much puts it sort of quietens that sort of leaping mind, the intensity. Often we cannot see things because of intensity, and so it just reduces the level of noise and intensity, so that one can just, yeah, again, relax into life and start enjoying life as well.
Well, yeah, yeah. If you're walking around constantly stimulated with pain or heavy levels of stress, you know, our bandwidth is so much sucked up in that we then lose that appreciation or that gratitude
Yeah,
of what's
yeah.
actually around us. Of like, ugh. So removing that, I think it becomes again it's a key factor of like, how do you maybe not even remove it, but like reintegrate it,
Yes,
whatever that experience is, reintegrate it back into the system.
yeah, and I think it's also I think going back to the energy as well,
Yeah.
because and I think this is where it helps a lot of people with not only with physical problems, but with anxiety, with mental stress, with migraines too, because with a low level of energy, then it's easy to make poor decisions or not to make any decisions at all. If you're sort of
Yes.
feeling more energetic, and you've got energy, then you can actually start to exercise discrimination in the sense of choosing between, and to say, look, this is a good choice or this is a bad choice, and I'm not going to make that bad choice any longer. So I think it helps a lot in the sort of the mental aspect of actually just choosing more life supportive and beneficial choices every day.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's another thing that's like overlooked is like bandwidth to make a decision when you're if you probably track people who are in crazy amounts of pain or who are dealing with it, again, not releasing or integrating those stressors, it's,
Yeah.
they typically don't make some of the best choices. They usually kind of continually surround themselves with things that typically foster some of the things that are very causing them pain or causing them suffering in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to get out
Yeah.
of that loop.
Yes.
Do you?
And they've done a lot of research in that with respect to migraines, for example.
Yeah.
So they've sort of looked at the fact that um, already because of your migraines, your your cellular energy level in your brain is low. But then if you load that with negative thought patterns, then suddenly the needle gets lower and lower and lower. And that's often what triggers a migraine, is that sort of the energy just gets too low to be able to sustain normal function.
Wow. What what's one of your favorite, if you were going to give someone a combination of a device and like one of your programs, what would be your recommendation?
You're looking at devices. Are we looking at devices here? Or
Device and a
okay,
program and a
a
program.
program. Look, I think the very much depends, but the device would be the Comra Pro, the 905, which is like the sort of the top end of the range. And the program is what we would call Universal 5, which is a stress reducing program. And that is it's a lovely program because you're treating the sternum, which is a part it has a lot of stem cells in the sternum.
Mm-hmm.
You're treating the thymus area, you're treating the heart, you're treating the brain, which again, it helps with to relax the brain, but you're also concentrating a lot on your adrenal glands. And if you're under stress, as you know, then your adrenal glands get sort of hammered. So
Just a little.
that is a wonderful sort of balancing program, but also and any kind of chronic illness benefits from Universal 5 program. Together with Universal 3, which is treating the blood, and we've talked about that. But essentially, Universal 5 Plus, it is hormone balancing as well. So again, a lot of women going through menopause find it immensely beneficial because, again, it's balancing the hormones. So any kind of condition where you need to balance the hormones too, as well as reducing stress, would benefit from Universal 5. So yeah, that's a most magnificent treatment. And then
I love it. Go ahead.
you don't actually have to, often it's very versatile, so often you don't need to follow a specific program. Once you start to understand how the programs are put together, like what I do in the mornings, just I might do my liver, I might do 2 spots on the liver, I might do my kidneys, I might do my pancreas, but it doesn't really, I don't follow a particular order. It's just something that I feel that this bit of my body needs attention, or that bit of it. So again, it can be very fluid, and you can make it up as you go along.
I love that because it's tapping back into that thing of intuition. You're not riffing on a rigid approach. You're riffing on like, hey, my body's calling for this. It wants a
Yeah,
little of this,
yeah,
and
yeah,
giving that thing, which I think is a great, maybe not initially because someone does probably need a more structured thing to follow, but it's always great to get to a place where you're really listening to your own body again, and then
yeah,
you're taking the actions around what your body's actually calling for versus trying to force into something that maybe it doesn't need.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool. I love it. Uh,
Uh,
so what's like what on your journey? Like what's next for you? Like what's the next 6 months to a year in your life? Do you have a master plan that you're like letting unfold?
um, just carrying on expanding. I think one of the things that I've sort of started to become it started to, I suppose, become more popular here is working with animals. And I just saw someone I was asking about their beloved fur babies. And I think I wanted to just share a little bit more about that
Yeah, go
because
for
that's
it.
also an area where I just love working with animals. And um, I think my first experience with Comra was actually sort of way back when I first got the device, and I had an elderly German Shepherd, and she was about 13 and sort of looking her age. And so I found that, and I've been taking her to acupuncture for lower back problems, and she was improving, but still sort of on the downhill trajectory, energy wise. So I started using the Comra on her, and I was not only treating the lower back and the legs, but also I was treating the liver, the kidneys, the heart. And so I found that it took her sort of a month or two, but then I started to find that she was still getting much more energetic. She wasn't like a puppy anymore, but she was nonetheless far more energetic and had a better quality of life. And I found too, for example, that often with elderly dogs, you get a build-up of fluid on the lungs. And I found by using the Comra on the lungs and the heart, she didn't get that. And things like sort of urinary incontinence stopped as well through using it on her bladder. So that was my first amazing experience with treating animals. And since then, a lot of people have used it on their animals. We have from Dachshunds. Have a big problem with their back because they're long and they have the severe back problems a lot of the time, and so it helps a lot with that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got fantastic results from a rehabilitation center here in South Africa for birds and birds of prey, and with broken wings for eagles and things like that. So that's also an enormous benefit. And also horses. A
Oh
lot of
yeah.
people with horses and have these sort of amazing results from wounds, their tendons and wounds, plus just general sort of illnesses in horses. Often with race horses, you get problems with they're stretched so much that they start to bleed because they sort of push too hard and their lungs cannot take the pressure, so they start to bleed through their nostrils. So animals are sort of amazing with Comra therapy, and often because the mind doesn't get in the way with animals. So
Yes.
with humans, it's the mind that gets in the way. With animals, it doesn't, so they can heal so much faster.
Yes. Our good old minds. Get out of the mind, get in the body.
Yeah, absolutely.
The mind is useful for purposes, but it's kind of comical how sneaky it can be,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
wind back in there and derail us from very simple things. Where yeah, like
Yeah.
that's also one thing I love about when we're at the house we were staying in California. Some of our coaches were over with their dogs. Our coach Jules was over with his dog, and it's just so incredible to watch. I mean, the life that animals bring because it's coming from purity.
Yes.
Like they're just responding fully without like counter intention or a way to try to make it, phrase it in a certain way. Just I love you, I like you, I'm mad right now, and it's just so amazing to see. So I can imagine like devices like this because again you're working from a universal principle of light and frequency can be applied anywhere.
Yeah. And it's so quick. See, with light, um, with essentially with sort of hormones, with chemistry and stuff. It's so slow. It works at sort of meters per second, whereas the speed of light, is sort of 300,000 kilometers per second. So
Yeah,
it's absolutely instantaneous. The energy transfer is just happens in a flash.
and there's not really side effects.
Yes.
Because if you're
Yeah.
if you're doing if you're doing like a typical hormone treatment and you start adding in extra hormones, well then you got to play around with these a combination of cocktails to try to find a balance. You can turn off your own body's natural function.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a program here, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm just freestyling off of what I've experienced from the device so far, is that if you are doing a protocol to help with hormones, because you have actual protocols I saw that can help with sexual health, for
Yes.
females and males. Which, hey guys, you're probably wondering, like, hey, what program is that? Let me go use it. But yeah, there's actually a really great program to help rebuild if you're experiencing erectile dysfunction. For women, I'm sure with dysregulation of the vagina itself, not being able to feel as much or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's bringing back an opening, and it's actually, instead of lack of hormones, is a dysregulation somewhere else in the body that's stopping it from producing that. This
Yes.
device is treating that root versus just dumping more stuff in the river.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, you've got to deal with it root, and especially with these conditions too, because there's so much also in the mind that needs to be addressed as well. So just in terms of feeling good about yourself and helping people to feel good about themselves, again, reducing the stress levels as well as reducing or balancing the hormone levels too. So they all go hand in hand.
Yes, it's all connected.
Yeah.
Each part is connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you reading anything cool? Any cool books right now?
Um, I was just dipping into that Norman Doidge book,
Okay.
so that's how I got that
Yeah, the
quote. So that's
quote.
a lovely book. So
What's it
yeah,
called?
so Norman Doidge, which is the brain's way of healing. So he's a psychiatrist. So Doidge, Norman Doidge, the brain's way of healing. So he's got a whole chapter devoted to light therapy and his experience on light therapy and how that's helped,
Oh,
as well as other sort of fantastic sort of examples of healing and how the power of the brain when it's in sync to actually repair itself and to bring about healing.
that sounds amazing. I just saw. Did you see that quote that popped up here, Charles? Not a quote, but from Inspirited Moves. He says, Comra saved the life of her dog. She got intoxicated by a toxic caterpillar, and only thanks to Comra, she made it through the night to take her to the vet in the morning.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, for emergency use, it's one of the main things, and it's effective, but also it just helps people, anybody really, when you're talking about waking up, whether it's you, your partner, whether it's your animals, 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't know what to do. With Comrade, at least you know you can do something there, and that's going to get you through until the morning.
Would you be open, Charles, to just taking some questions
Sure, sure,
from
absolutely.
anybody? Because I think it'll be cool to allow. I mean, I think you've done a good job of you've done a really great job of laying out the wide scope of the possibilities. I mean, with the devices, all the way from simply preventative, because you use it as a preventative in the morning to keep yourself in a nice chill state, down to you've got intense pain going on, to even performance, to dealing with sexual health.
Yeah,
So you've done a great job of giving even in a short time, laid out the scope and the potential and the possibility. And because it's using light and frequency, essentially, they're what we're all made of.
yeah.
It's doing it from a completely beautiful perspective in my own eyes. But if anybody has any questions, drop it in the comments. We'll take a few questions, and if not, that's okay too, because you can just tune in and rewatch everything we talked about.
I see there's someone asking about working on Lyme. So that, yes, it does. So there's quite an extensive treatment, autoimmune one, which is one of the longest and most extensive treatments in the user guide. And so that is for Lyme as well as any kind of serious autoimmune disorder. And we're talking about lupus, for example,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing.
Yeah, when you guys, just so you know, when you grab one of the devices, you can download the app. They have an
Yeah,
app in the App Store, and they have an app that's an online version of the app plus a great user guide that you can, like in the app, it's great because you can type in, "Hey, I want to treat this," and then it brings up the protocol for you, and you just begin your protocol.
yeah. So, and then on the downloads page, on the resources page, so the app is directed towards the sort of main and substantial user guide. There are other user guides as well. So there's sports performance user guide, which is a separate one. Then there's beauty and wellness user guide, which is also a separate one. And then there's the cow and horse user guide, and there's the small animals user guide as well. So there are about 5 different user guides for different conditions, for different areas that are on the downloads page on the website. So that's something to bear in mind.
There was a question about liver tumors.
So again, yes, it helps with liver tumors. It helps with liver health generally. The thing to bear in mind always is that Comrade doesn't kill um, uh, cancer cells or tumors as well. It just supports the ability of the healthy cells to fight and to produce the balance. So that's just one thing to understand. So it doesn't sort of kill.
If possible, start doing some fascia maneuvers and combine it with that. And then look
Yeah,
at, obviously, and obviously we're not giving medical advice when we say these things, everyone, but something to might, out of your own curiosity, try is get moving, do some maneuvers, add one of these devices to the treatment of that, and look at kind of also what's going in the system.
yeah, very much.
And the emotional content that's involved.
Yes. Yeah, very important.
Yeah, because people a lot of times they'll focus on, well, kind of like some people get stuck in the mind, other people just get stuck too much in the body, and then they never deal with the other side, the content part of it.
Yeah, emotional side is just so important because, yeah, that is often the driving force. And as we talked about, the pursuit of the misdirected emotion,
Yeah,
like people looking for happiness and getting hung up on the fact that they don't find the happiness that they're seeking, and then that leads to a whole range of mitochondrial issues as well. So there's a whole sort of aspect to dealing with working with your emotions as too.
does it help with low white blood count, and can it generate all liver tissue? Can it penetrate to all liver tissue? Or two questions there.
Yes, yeah, it can penetrate to all liver tissue, and yes, it helps with the right white blood cells and low and red blood cells too. So by treating the blood, so again, we're putting it on the exposed artery points, and again, that's the treatment we call Universal 3, which we also call blood irradiation.
Oh, you're right. Sandy, we're speaking with Healing with Coherence is Charles. He's in South Africa, but you can go over to his website. The links are just being dropped in the chat. But we're talking about Comrade devices. They also have amazing courses you can do, but we're specifically talking a little bit on the focus on the devices. This is their palm-sized device, which uses laser frequency. They have a device that also uses ultrasound that basically you can treat energy flow in the body, and that you can treat pain, performance, and all these aspects. She just tuned in. She didn't have context. And you can add on to that, by the way, Charles, if you want.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we're seeing some that Inspirited Moves is dropping the title there, the web address. So I think that is great. Yeah. So many aspects really to cover, and that's it. It's like some people have called it your doctor in the box because
Yeah.
it has it has all of these aspects and possibilities to it.
Without the crazy price tag, and who's not going to get you hooked on a bunch of random pills.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a doctor that truly cares about what's happening to you.
Yeah, very much.
I want to wind things down a little bit. What are some I guess parting words from you? The obvious things are where to find devices, where to connect with you at. If people have more questions and want to get in touch with you and get a runner sense, what things should they do? And then we'll leave with another question from me to you.
So essentially, then we're looking at the web address. So again, comra-therapy.com. So that's the first port of call. And so we have a chat team, a support team. We can email. Yeah, so that has a lot of information plus an ability to just sort of connect in real time with people and not a bot. So again,
Yes.
it's so again that is very yeah, that's the best way.
Yes, you will be able to watch the replay of this later. We'll repost it. All the links will be there in the reposting of this. And Kate Mac, I'll let Charles speak to that. Does it stop pain instantly?
It very much depends. I hate to sort of make promises because everybody is different, but we've had a lot of cases where people have had very quick pain relief. It depends what it is, really. Sometimes it takes a longer time. Um, things that have worked sort of so well. We were talking earlier about sort of a back pain that arises as a result of previous operations where there's been a mixture of damaged nerves and buildup of scar tissue. That tends to resolve very, very quickly. But then not everybody is in that situation. So it very much depends what that pain is. Lupus pain, for example, is a very different type of pain. Multiple sclerosis pain is a very different type of pain, and that takes longer. It will respond, but it's not instant by any means. So I think it depends on the level of pain. If you fall over and cut yourself, then again the pain relief can be quite quick. So again, it depends on the type of pain that you're dealing with.
Great, great response. Yeah, because it does depend. Like, I don't think there's an absolute. One person might be able to knock the pain right away. Another person has a lot of other stuff going on that
Yeah,
takes a little bit more diligence.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So, guys, we're gonna slowly wind down. Get out and move. Grab a Comra device. Go over to Healing with Coherence. These devices are a tremendous assist in your process because they have such a wide range from preventative to actually dealing with issues at hand. Extremely portable because you can get one that's, well, I have huge hands, and that thing actually fits right in the palm of my hand. And you can just slide it in your bag, carry it around with you. Comes with a charger, comes with all the apps and manuals. But to me, it's kind of like one of those things. It's a little bit of a no-brainer because, oh, well, I'll finish my thought, but there's a great question that just popped up in there about dental pain. But yeah, it's one of those things that you can invest pretty much as a no-brainer, and if you want to get a little bit more crazy with your investment, you can go full tilt and get the pro version of it.
Yeah,
But both are super usable and are going to help you accomplish where you want to go, whether you're recovering or you are dealing with something that's more chronic. But that question,
yeah.
can you mind speaking to that?
The dental pain.
Yeah.
That was very much, again, it depends on what's causing it. But that was this amazing results that I had last week with a client who had excruciating pain through trigeminal neuralgia that arose out of dental work that had gone wrong. So he had nerve damage, he had buildup of scar tissue, and it had brought about this excruciating trigeminal neuralgia. And that was an example of quick relief. As I think I mentioned, he started using it about 5:30, 6 o'clock on the Friday evening. By 4:30 a.m. Saturday morning, then he was pain-free, and he really didn't know what to do. He was in such pain before that for the whole of the Friday. So yeah, that was a very quick result. If you've got ongoing thing like a cracked tooth, then you need to look at that too, because a cracked tooth is a cracked tooth. So you just need to, that might need to have some attention. But for most times, it will help enormously with all kinds of dental pain, including gum problems. A lot of people have dental pain because of gum problems, and this will help enormously with gum problems
Yeah.
too.
And again, everybody, if you make your own choices. If you're in the middle of a crazy emergency, sometimes you need an emergency intervention. And like if you're about to like drive off a cliff, maybe deciding to do a session isn't the answer right now. So just weigh things out.
Yeah.
But these devices and even the protocols and the philosophy behind it are going to be the things that really open you up into performing as a human the way that you could.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't say that lightly. I know I just said it very like, well, it's going to open your performance like a human should, but it's true. I don't know if you believe this fully, but I believe we're like completely frequency beings, light beings, and the more that we pull out the little thorns or the little like rods, electric rods that are sucking our energy this way, sucking our energy that way, and we open it back into life, just becomes richer and richer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's wonderful to have a technology, which I appreciate so much, of where you're actually, as you say, we're dealing with light, we're dealing with information,
Yes.
and that information relates to the natural or innate intelligence of the body. So we all have an innate intelligence, and all it needs is a communication with that intelligence, as opposed to trying to force something. So often, if you're taking drugs or something like that, then you're trying to force a response in the body as opposed to
Yeah.
cooperating with the body's natural intelligence. So that's the way I like to look at it.
Amazing. Do you listen to music at all?
Yes, I listen to a variety of music.
I want a song recommendation before we before we say adios. I like to get song recommendations from people because I was hearing new things that maybe I haven't thought of before.
Ah,
I put you on the
now you
spot.
got me.
Yes.
Let
You can always drop in the chat in our
let me
WhatsApp
just,
chat
yeah,
later and just to put it, and I'll
yeah,
repost it. I'll repost it.
great, thanks.
Yeah, I'll give you.
Thanks, Aaron. Yeah.
But yeah, folks, it's Charles from Healing with Coherence and the Comrade devices. Go check it out. Again, highly, highly amazing. This is it's really cool because I was actually shocked because when I first opened this, I was like, this little thing is going to make a huge impact. And I'm doing a very specific protocol. If you want to know, you can DM me and I'll tell you which protocol I'm doing specifically. It's a little bit more private, so I won't share it completely publicly. But I thought it was just really cool using this right away and noticing an effect and a difference uh, within one session, and then that compounded into the second session of doing it. Uh, we have a code which will be posted later, just Human Garage 12 or Human Garage. We'll post the correct one. We sometimes switch it up. I believe it's Human Garage 12, and you can get a little bit of a discount in there. Just as we like to extend that to our all of our people. You guys also have some other products available too, right? Besides the devices themselves.
Yeah. So it's an area we didn't really get into, which was the Comra Wave.
Yes.
So we've got those, the Comra Wave. Essentially, we've got they are a very different technology, but yeah, that's the pendant. And so we've got the wave that works on two levels. Firstly, it absorbs some of the negative or electromagnetic radiation that's around you, um, and that is its protective effect. And so you put it on your cell phone, your computer, but it also had a different aspect whereby it uses that energy to generate a positive frequency. So in that respect, like you're putting it around your neck, it's affecting the water in your body in a positive way. So it's both protecting yourself against electromagnetic radiation, plus it's using that signal to generate positive energy, which is structuring the water in your body. So we've read a lot about structured water, for example. And we also have the coasters too, that you put your glass of water on, and it helps to restructure the water. It also helps to oxygenate it slightly so that it is at its optimum level. So, you know, if you see here in my glass of water, you see the little bubbles. Mine's been on the coaster, and you can see that will happen when you put your glass of water on the coaster. And you'll notice the difference immediately in the taste. You put it there for about 5 minutes, and you'll find that the taste just tastes so much more natural than even sort of filtered water. So that's another aspect that we can go into on another occasion. But
You
yeah,
could
so
you
we've
could
got the
do you
Comra
could
Whey
do with
products.
coffee too, actually, if your coffee's a little bit bitter,
Yeah,
it'd smooth it out.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So any kind of drink really will help with.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have you back on again. We just started scratching the surface of like these technologies and uses.
Yes,
Because we could
absolutely.
we could run a marathon this evening, which we already kind of have in a way, because we're almost clocking in almost an hour and a half that we've been chatting away here, which is amazing. And we just kind of started scratching the surface of
Yeah.
these ideas and concepts. So guys, we are going to be doing this more often, and I want to let you know this, and everyone out there, please go follow our new Human Garage page called Human Garage Shop. The reason I want you to go follow it is because what we're going to be doing with all of our collaborators and partners is giving them another space where we can go and get even deeper with these stories and spend even more time talking about these subjects. Um, we're still going to be coming live on our main page like this, but we're going to be simultaneously broadcasting there and encouraging all of our partners to share content and share their stories there, because it doesn't get lost. We have so many things going on our main page sometimes. Post goes up, post goes up. Sometimes someone goes back to try to find something. It can be a little bit tricky to find. This will be a house. So follow Human Garage Shop. We just launched it. We're still building the graphics for it on it. It's our new Instagram page. But we're going to start being able to go there and have even deeper and more fun conversations. And those can also happen if you join our app, folks. That's what also the app is for, because it's a community of about almost 75,000 people at this point, and it allows for back and forth conversations. So all of our, are you in our app, by the way, Charles? If you're not,
Yeah.
you should get.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on the app.
Okay, cool. So guys, if you're in
Absolutely.
the app, it's super easy to chat with Charles and ask questions, and he can get on and he can go live, and talk about stuff and talk about these products when we, because obviously we can't spend every single day going live. So it gives the opportunity in those windows to do much more of that and allow you guys to connect more and more with our collaborators directly. So give that a follow if you haven't. Join our community if you haven't at humangarage.net, and then Human Garage Shop, humangarage.shop. You'll find it. Doesn't have a logo yet, but it's us. Any last words for today? Not last words in general, just last words for today.
Um, yeah, just say thank you all for being here. Thank you, Aaron. And yeah, I feel this is the start of a new journey and look forward to the next steps. It's been fantastic sharing with you and chatting with you. And yeah, now we've started. I think I look forward to the next steps.
Yeah, it's
And
gonna it's gonna
I'm
be
I'm
fun.
very
It's
excited.
it's gonna unfold and give people more and more opportunities to experience. We're working on some fun things to do with also all of our partners that will allow people to come and experience more things directly. So,
Fantastic.
everybody, I'm Aaron from Human Garage. We do this every Wednesday, 5:30. We get on and talk with our collaborators about the who, what, where, when, and why. If you have questions for me personally or want to connect with me, you can do so at my personal accounts at pulseoflife.co. Aaron Mathias, the purpose, help you rewire your brain. This is part of a protocol. Going to be part of one of my protocols now, actually, that I send to people because it's so awesome. But check it out, folks. And again, uh, get out and move, get sun, hydrate, and spread a little gratitude today or this evening. What time is it where you're at, by the way, Charles?
It's coming up to 2 a.m.
Oh, geez. Thank you for staying awake with me. You're a rock star. Now you're gonna go have to you're gonna go have to put the you're gonna have to go to some device to like reset yourself to go to sleep. I love it. Rock star, rock star, rock star. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you all soon.
Thanks
Adios.
a lot.